All right, let's get started, because this is going to be a
flyby.
yeah, it's going to, I'm really trying to pack in a lot. So originally when I wrote the proposal for the talk, I thought I'd have an hour, and so now I have half hour, so we can't cover everything that I wanted to, but we'll cover a lot. Shit, so hold on, hang on a second. Yeah.
You're running Windows? Ugh.
But this laptop is working. Yeah, touch it. All right, cool. So the art and science of hacking any organization. So first, who am I? You can follow me on Twitter, Wrightson. Like I said, we're going to cram so much into this that I recommend that you follow up with me after this if you're interested in this kind of stuff. I'm a pen tester by trade, but I do so much more in InfoSec, not just offensive security, but I handle all of that: physical, wireless, internal network, external network, pen tester. I wrote a book on wireless security. I actually have a book coming out on this topic, how to hack any organization, which gets much deeper into the tactical side of this. This is going to be a little bit more strategic. Last year, me and my buddy Justin won the CTF, and other than that, I'm really just a nobody, just another InfoSec lover like you guys. You might know me from some of my aliases though online: Dave Antique Kennedy, Pure Love, HD Less, Steel Nerd, Irvin Kitnick, Johnny Short, and my favorite, Sexy Bunny 19. So why are we here today? There's one big glowing idea, and that is the fact that no matter what defenses are in place, and no matter what type of organization you have, I can hack you tomorrow with probably little effort. And when I say I, it's the not quite so colloquial. It's more people who essentially learn to have the skill set to hack you. You are open to being hacked. And then also two other pieces to this. I want to add some new terms to the hacker lexicon. And also I just want to inspire you to think. When you leave here, right, we only have 30 minutes. When you leave here, I want you to think, can any organization be hacked? Can my organization be hacked? And do I really agree with Tyler? Feel free to disagree with me. And if you have good points, bring them to my attention. I'd love to hear what you think. So again, this is a high-level talk. We're not getting down into the weeds. I'd like to get into the tactical side of this, but that's going to be saved for future versions of this talk. So first of all, let's define what I mean by any organization. Do I really mean any organization? And yes, I do. I mean any organization. I don't care how small you are, the mom and pop defense contractors, 5, 10 employees, all the way up to the most crazy military organizations you can think of, Federal Reserve, huge banks, it doesn't matter. You can get access to them. It's also important to understand that I don't just mean that you can get access to their information. You can also get access to the assets that information is protecting. So it's important to understand that nowadays people rely on information to protect their physical access. Gold, silver, diamonds, doesn't matter. It's all protected by information. So if we can get that information, we can get access to your assets. So first thing I'd like to add to the hacker lexicon is a new way of defining organizations. Right? So if we start at the bottom, F, which takes up the most volume here, F you can think of as fail. These are the organizations that just don't get it. Right? They probably have antivirus that's not up to date, Windows patches that are missing, things like that. C and D, if you combine those two, you'll notice that the volume is bigger than F, and that's what I consider to be corporate America. So most of corporate America is in here. They're slightly better than F, maybe that their antivirus is up to date, Windows are patched, but other than that, they don't really do too much. B you can think of as best practices. So a lot of organizations have implemented best practices. They're good. They're a step above the normal. And then A are the alpha organizations. So the organizations that not only implement all the best practices, but they also take it a step further and implement next generation technologies, and they really think outside the box in implementing their defenses. The problem is that no matter what category you're in, you can still be hacked. You can still be owned. So now we need a good way of defining attacker capabilities, because up until this point it's all been buzzwords and nobody's agreed on anything. So I think that the perfect way to do it is to divide up into 3 categories. You're either a dumbass attacker, a smart attacker, or an advanced attacker. Right? And there's nothing wrong with being a dumbass. For years and years I was a dumbass, right? It takes a while to get to the advanced stage. So there's nothing wrong with that, but the problem is that now dumbass attackers are becoming way more effective with the way tools have been developed, and we'll get into that more later. Smart attackers, right, they're just a step in the right direction. They know how to use the tools, they probably understand some of how it works, but they're not quite to the advanced stage. Advanced ones you'll see, it's not necessarily about technical skills, it's more the big picture thinkers. They understand how the organization works and how to get access to an organization. And also, if you take a look at most InfoSec products, you'll notice that they're designed to keep the smart and dumbass attackers out of your organization, but none of them are really designed to keep the advanced attackers out. And although they may claim it, right, they're designed specifically for APTs, not the case. Right? There's nothing that can actually handle advanced attackers. We'll discuss that throughout this presentation. You also notice that, for the most part, these InfoSec products are geared towards the lower tier of organizations. So what's different nowadays? What changed? Haven't criminals been around for forever? Have they always been able to access organizations? And the fact is that a lot has changed, and it's changed recently. Right? So if you think about things like Watergate, how different would Watergate have been if it was perpetrated over the internet? Right? And the internet affords anonymity. That's what's different. So now we can keep trying attacks until something works, and we can do it almost entirely anonymously. And also you have to look at the risk-reward structure. Right? So in the past, the risk was high, and the reward was small. I'm going to break into a bank. The risk is I get shot, I go to jail, right? I lose all my freedom. Nowadays, what are you really risking? You're not risking that much, and the reward is much higher. So that's what's different. So how did we get here? And this is perfect. I feel like The Hangover is a perfect metaphor for this, right? Because you know, we wake up, we've had a great time before we got here, we partied up the night, and now, you know, our friend's missing a tooth, so one guy dry humped a tiger, pretty soon a Chinaman's going to hop out naked and start beating us with a crowbar. So how do we get here? What are all these factors that add into this? So the first thing is that you can't forget how young this industry is. Technology in general hasn't been around that long, right? We literally have not been able to adapt to these things, and our reality has changed so much, and we'll dig more into that in a minute. The vulnerability of complexity is another component, right? So yeah, there's a lot of hilarious stuff on here, but the sheer fact is that with very complex systems, there's inherent vulnerabilities. I'm not telling you guys anything new by saying that, you know, the fact that per 1,000 lines of code, there's a vulnerability. I'm not even just talking about software, but consider the fact that the internet networks all of these extremely complex systems together. Just one operating system alone might have 50 million lines of code, but now we have, you know, 3, 4, 5, 6 major operating systems, not to mention all the networking gear that they rely on, and they're all networked together throughout the world. It's an insanely complex system. The only one that's probably rivaled it is the economic system. But even so, you'll see that it even outweighs that. It's much more complex. Who can decode this for me? You get a cool prize. Not you. Not my fiance. Come on.
Time is not your friend?
What is it?
Time is not your friend?
Nice! All right, dude, you got a good prize. See me afterwards. Time is not your friend, right? So for the defenders, time is absolutely against you, right? It doesn't matter. You could be nicely secure today, but in 15 minutes, literally, or a day from now, a new 0 day is introduced or whatever. Time is absolutely against the defenders, right? The weaponization of software. Who knows what these are called? Oh yeah, but what's it called with a weapon? A Doomba. So the weaponization of software has really changed our world, and it's been so interesting to see. Right, I've been involved in information security for about 15 years, and even that, if you consider it, it's still kind of young, right? The field is so young, but to see how much it's changed, to going from, you know, understanding specific exploits and how they work to now literally so many exploits, especially when you consider Metasploit, Canvas, those types of tools. People who have no idea what they're doing can click a button and own a machine. They don't even know what to do once they've owned it, but they can do that. So that's why the dumbass threat is so interesting right now, because you don't have to be intelligent to understand what you're doing. It's just like the mechanics of a gun. If you think about how a gun works, right? You might not know how the mechanics work, the ratio of gunpowder to projectile, this delicate balance. You don't need to know how that works. You just stick a bullet in a gun, point at something you want to die, pull the trigger, that's it. And the same thing is happening with software, and that's a really interesting fact. Right, what's this? It's not a trick question. It's a door lock. It's the quintessential door lock in America, right? So this most people in here have this protecting their house, right? I'm going to give you a new term for this, because this is also repeated in technology. It's an ineffective, ubiquitous defense, right? So I chose that not only because it makes me sound really smart, but because it accurately describes what it is, right? This does not stop an advanced attacker who wants to get into your house, right? This will stop someone from coming up and jiggling your doorknob and saying, okay, it's not open, I'll either move on to the next house or go check out the window. But an advanced attacker who wants to get inside your house, these standard locks take literally probably, I don't know, 30 seconds to pick if you know what you're doing. taught my girlfriend how to do it during an episode of White Collar. She got pretty good. She did it in probably like 15 minutes. So it's ineffective. It doesn't actually stop advanced attackers, but it's everywhere. So you'll see the same exact thing with technology, things like antivirus, IDS, IPS. Do they really stop advanced attackers? No, they just stop the dumbass threats. Some of the dumbass threats. Okay, so Morpheus was right. I'd like to play the video. I didn't get audio up here, so unfortunately you're just going to have to read it. But I think you'll all be familiar with this. So Morpheus says, the matrix is everywhere. It's all around us. Even now in this very room. You can see it when you look out your window or when you turn on your television. You can feel it when you go to work, when you go to church. Everyone remember what scene that's from?
Yeah.
Hands? Right? So
Just like it, by the way.
Thanks. All right, so what was he really talking about? I think he was talking about the internet, right? So if you place the internet in there, let's see if he was right. So the internet is everywhere. It is all around us. Even now in this very room. Who has a smartphone? Raise your hands. Guess what? You're all connected to the internet. That's pretty awesome, right? So even now in this very room. You can see it when you look out your window or when you turn on your television. You can feel it when you go to work, when you go to church, or when you pay your taxes. Right? So it's everywhere. Technology, and especially the internet, has completely infiltrated every aspect of our lives. And we don't understand the implications of that yet. And if we do, we just ignore them. All right, so what is this? Yep, you're close. This is the world's most advanced bathroom scale. I'm not joking. Has anyone seen it before? You seen it?
Yes.
Integrated Wi-Fi connection with a cloud service. It's a bathroom scale. Why do we need that? Right? You think that might be the weakest link on your network? And then maybe you'll never have this on your network, but think about that. All these other devices that are just meaningless. What is their margin on this? Maybe it's $20? You think they put a rigorous security test into making sure that there's no issues with that? Right? Serious. So a new term for this to add to the hacker lexicon, it's useless technification. There's no reason for this thing to be wireless, right? Sometimes I feel like Oprah's deciding some of these decisions, like, you get a Wi-Fi connection, you get a Wi-Fi connection, everybody's getting Wi-Fi, right? So another factor is the fact that defenders are completely bound by red tape, right? They have to worry about change control and change management, getting approval, getting budget, right? All these things that as defenders you understand. Hackers, what do they have to worry about? Nothing. They try what works, right? If a new exploit comes out, you have probably 2 weeks to apply the patch. Make sure it doesn't affect your production systems. Make sure it's not going to break anything, and then apply it. What do they have to do? Try it. If it knocks out your system, whoops. You know, I'll try a different route. They have no red tape to worry about. So now let's look at some of the economic factors of insecurity, because money plays a big role in this, right? So this, to me, is one of the best ideas. I think that if you can take out of this, you'll understand why advanced attackers can hack any organization, right? So Superman represents security. He is security. His superpower is basically, I can't die, right? So he can get shot by bullets. He can walk through fire. He is security personified, right? Batman, he's a human being. He's trying to be secure, so he invests in things. He buys certain gadgets. He buys certain tools. So if you think about it, Superman security, Batman is risk management, right? So companies strive to manage risk. They can't possibly be Superman. So the problem is that because we can't be Superman, just that little area, that little gap that they allow themselves for risk, that's what the advanced attacker exploits, right? It's also a numbers game, right? This is everything that the defender has to worry about. And frankly, there's a lot of stuff I left out of here, but just a few things. Internal network, external network, phones, wireless, Bluetooth, home users, remote users, physical connectivity, third-party connections, web applications, right? They have to worry about fixing all these things. And the attacker, just has to find one thing that doesn't work. He can bide his time, time's on his side, and finds that one vulnerability and gets in. So it's an operational issue, right? So when you're juggling all these balls, what does the hacker do? He comes up and blows you away in the face, right? So who's this?
Right.
Nice, that was fast. That's good. So this is Freud. So there are also some psychological issues that attribute to the fact that an advanced attacker can hack an organization. So let's look at those. Who knows what artists?
Sure.
Damn, dude, you're gonna. All right, I'll give you a couple prizes. All right, yeah. So
This was your phone number.
You're talking about fiance. So again, don't forget for a second how completely warped our reality is, right? This hasn't existed in our past before. Our minds came from like a tribal society, right? We're used to dealing with people face to face. I frankly don't think that we can comprehend the threats involved with connecting to the internet. Now you're open to threats that exist across the world that not only will you never see, but they operate in millionths of a second, right? We literally cannot comprehend these things, so therefore we can't defend against them. And I don't mean to say that you can't comprehend how they work, but our minds, when we work through risk and risk management, we can't comprehend how to deal with those types of risks. Next slide, please. Thank you. So offensive versus defensive thinking, right? So there's a very, very important difference between the way attackers think and defenders think. And to me, it kind of comes down to the patch mentality, right? So defenders see an issue, and I say, okay, I see a vulnerability there, I got to fix it, right? They fix the issue. Problem is that they don't think like attackers. And if the defenders in here walk away with one thing, this is what you should walk away with. You need to start thinking like attackers to actually defend your networks. Because an attacker will say, okay, I as an attacker, if they fix that issue, how will I get in, right? Maybe it's circumventing that control. Maybe it's ignoring that control. Maybe it's targeting something completely else. And that's what defenders need to do. And frankly, defenders don't think that way. And if you look at the way buffer overflows were dealt with, right? They essentially said, okay, well, I'll do safe execution handling, so they can't return to the stack. But the attacker said, okay, well, I don't need to return to the stack, I'll just return to another library, right? So it's that attacker mentality that defenders need to start with, right? Misnomers suck. And nowhere else do they suck more than in technology, right? If you actually think about some of the technologies that we use, antivirus, intrusion detection, and intrusion prevention, do they really do what their titles imply? And the fact is that they don't. This is one of the smaller issues, but I think it's also somewhat important, right? So intrusion detection, it doesn't actually detect intrusions. And did you get it, John? 10 minutes? All right, cool. Now I got it. Intrusion detection systems don't actually detect intrusions. They match events against pre-configured signatures, right? So it's these types of things that other people who don't really get technology are like, oh, all right, if I want to detect intrusions, I'll just install an intrusion detection system. Not so. All right, so this is the intermission.
Where you take a drink, right?
Yeah, that's where I take the drink. So this is the fun stuff. This is what I think some of the attackers in here probably showed up to see. And unfortunately, this is what I had to cut short. So in future talks, we're really going to dive deep. I'll release some new tools, backdoor-related stuff, rootkit-related stuff, new methods of doing things. So right now, I'm just going to give you the high-level stuff, how to be like an advanced attacker, the thought process, and all that. And then we'll discuss a very loose framework that we'll dive deep into in future talk. So the first thing is improving your skills constantly. And one of the best ways I heard this quoted once was from a grandmaster in chess. Right? I used to be really big into chess. He said, getting better at chess is essentially like climbing a ladder, right? And the tactical steps are you learn with each rung. And eventually you get to a new platform where you can kick away the ladder because everything becomes kind of easy and you get to see the big picture and you don't worry about these minor tactical steps. And I think that plays well into hacking for me, right? You learn these specific attacks and these specific exploits, and then eventually you get to a plateau and you say, oh, this is cool, I think I understand the big picture of how it all really works. Social omniscience. This is something that I could honestly probably spend a day talking about, and I'm going to give it to you in 30 seconds. So you might have questions about it, and hopefully it'll inspire some conversation later. But social omniscience is essentially understanding social engineering as a big picture. So not only how do I con specific people, how do I do specific things, it's understanding the social elements in everything. Technology, the way organizations are laid out, how those politics come into play in security, risk management. So it's all these social elements that allow you to get in and not just social engineer a specific person, but attack any organization. Elegant. So there's a certain level of elegance to being an advanced attacker and thinking, looking at the big picture. Right? So if you can make your attacks more elegant, which means essentially simple and clean, right? You avoid some of the headaches of being too complex and failing, right? Patience. An advanced attacker is way more patient than a dumbass or smart one, right? You take your time. Time is on your side. Why rush? If I'm going to get the huge payoff, I can afford to wait a little while. preparation is obviously key no matter what, but for an advanced attacker, it's even way more so. Right? So if you prepare, you test your rootkits, you test your backdoors, you test the vulnerabilities that you'll be exploiting, and guarantee that you'll be successful. So this is what? Hatchet X. So most people include that quintessential chain breaking when they discuss targeting the weakest link. We got a good story, right? So back in the day on IRC or some really funny to look at now forums, invariably someone would ask, how do I hack? You know, I've got an enemy, I really want to hack Hotmail, I really want to hack Yahoo, right? I don't know why, but so many people seem to ask this question. And one of the funniest answers I ever heard, saw it a few times, is essentially someone would respond with, some smart ass would respond and say, all right, here's what you do if you want to hack Hotmail, guaranteed, no problem. Go to your local hardware store, find the biggest axe you can find, bring it home, sharpen it, get it really sharp, really nice and sharp. Go over to your enemy's house, knock on the door, and when he answers the door, kick open the door, put the axe in his face, and give me your effing Hotmail password, right? And there's some truth to that, because if you think about it, you have to think outside the box. And it might not be the most obvious path, but if you target the weakest link, right, you can absolutely hack any organization, right? Advanced attackers, they're efficacious, not elite. They focus on being effective and not being elite. So when I was younger, I used to think, you read about Kevin Mitnick, early social engineers, or other stupid hacks, and you'd be like, oh yeah, like they cheated, they social engineered something. Like anybody can do that. That's not cool. But if you think about it, who the freak cares? I don't care if it's elite, if it's effective. Do whatever you got to do. If I can con one person and get access to all your assets, or if I have to develop some new 0 day and work out all the kinks and spend a freaking month, which path should I really choose on an advanced hack? Right?
Resistance.
Yeah, I'll choose the path of least resistance. Exploitless exploits. This is another big one. So you should focus as an advanced attacker on exploiting the things that don't require exploits in the traditional sense, right? Focus on exploiting things by just using them the way they're meant to be used. So rather than looking at buffer overflows and exploits of that nature, just use technology as it's meant to. So have a user download a program and run a program, or say, hey, you have the FTP client on your computer. I need you to run this and upload this file and work from there, right? Don't try to use again, this goes back to being efficacious and not elite. Just focus on using technology as it's meant to, and you can hack any organization. The value of information. Advanced attackers understand that any information about a target organization is absolutely vital. I don't care how trivial it seems at the time. Find out everything you can about how they make money, how their business runs, their partners, any acquisitions, that type of stuff. Even down to specific people. So if you learn about their receptionists and what they like, and the way the sales team operates, learn about the business. Take your time, be patient, learn, and any organization can be hacked. All right, so now let's go over some of the key parts of the thought process of an advanced attacker. Obvious one, no rules, right? Again, the attacker has no rules to abide by. Cool, next one. Outside the box. I hate myself for putting this up here because I wanted to dedicate a good 5 minutes to this and discuss how to think outside the box. I'm so sick of people saying, oh, all you gotta do is think outside the box, you'll be fine. It's like screaming at a person to stay calm. It's like, all you gotta do is stay calm. It's not helpful, all right? So in a future one, I'm gonna go in depth on how to think outside the box, specifically with security. Who's this? KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. This goes back to efficacious, not elite, and all that. Just keep it simple and elegant, and your attacks will be that much more effective. Okay, so this is the meat of the attacks, right? This is what I propose is the simple truth that using these techniques in this preference order, you can hack any organization, right? So recon, take your time, actually learn about the business, learn about the people, right? Next is spear social. We spear social first because, so spear social engineering, right? So we do it through a targeted email to one person. We call them up and say, visit one website. We send them a text and say, hey buddy, it's your best friend. So I got the PTA meeting. Hey, here's a coupon to Dunkin' Donuts. I know you love Dunkin' Donuts, right? It's that kind of type of stuff, right? So we do it in this order because we leave less and less chance for us to get tracked. So in the very bottom one, we'll move on to actually physically infiltrating an organization. That opens us up to the old school risk, right? We can get caught, we can get thrown in jail, we can get shot by security guards. So after that, target remote workers. This is crazy. Think about the vulnerabilities that people actually leave themselves open to when they work from home, when they work from coffee shops, when they go to bars or conferences. You know how easy it would be to hack me right now? And this is how all this was developed. It was the thought that I know deep down that any organization can be hacked. All right, but who's defending them? There's kind of people like me. So if I really want to hack anywhere, I have to be able to hack myself. So how would I hack myself? And frankly, the easiest way would be to target me when I'm working remote. So right now, I tweeted a little while ago, hey, I'm going to be at DerbyCon speaking. Who's at my house? Probably nobody. What's protecting my house? Probably some shitty locks, right? Maybe a dog. You know how easy it is to get around a dog? Video cameras? You know how easy it is to get around video cameras? Right, so we target remote workers. And then once you get that foothold, it's much easier to dig deeper. Hardware social engineering, right? We combine social engineering aspects with physical devices. So Teensy, perfect example. Backdoor keyboards. There are so many extremely affordable listening and video devices to get access to specific things. GPS, right? We can track where people are, that type of stuff. And again, physical attacks where we actually break into a place physically and either we plant our own stuff or we just take assets from there. And that's it. You'll notice that I didn't include things like learning about SQL injection or cross-site scripting or all these things because you know what? Frankly, they don't really matter. Right? I'm not focusing just on social engineering, but social engineering and technology and how these things combine to come to the conclusion that no organization is safe. So, ta-da, that's basically it. Yep, wrap it up. There's no real magic to it. So if you guys have any questions.
Good comment, man. You're right on it. You're
Cool.
right on it.
Cool, thanks, man. So we ended with literally like a minute to spare, so sorry for speaking so quickly. But hopefully future talks will go into the nitty-gritty of some of those specific attacks and how you build that attack path, how you perform recon, which is so important. And yeah, it'll be a lot of fun. So that's it.
Very good.
Cool, thanks guys.